Hello, today we're going to be talking about Guillain-Barré syndrome. So what is Guillain-Barré syndrome? According to the Mayo Clinic, Guillain-Barré syndrome, also known as GBS, is a rare disorder in which a person's immune system attacks its own nerves. So what are the symptoms of Guillain-Barré? According to the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke, some of the symptoms include pins and needles sensation in your feet and hands that work to your upper body and your extremities, inability to walk or instability when standing. Some of the other symptoms are irregular heartbeat or heart rate, digestive problems, and the loss of bladder control. So the causes of Guillain-Barré are really unknown. I read an article written by Jacqueline Cavasso, and in that she states that there's no specific cause for Guillain-Barré, but roughly 2/3 of the people that have Guillain-Barré had recently been sick with some kind of infection, whether it be like an upper respiratory infection or like a bad stomach virus. But there wasn't one specific thing that indicated what caused it. Some of the other mentioned causes are the flu, mono, the herpes, HIV, but again, nothing specific to what can cause Guillain-Barré. There's not a cure for Guillain-Barré. It is just a permanent thing. Either you become better over time and regain strength and mobility. You can also develop complications, including paralysis of the diaphragm, if the symptoms aren't combated in enough time. And when your diaphragm paralyzes, you then have to be placed on a ventilator, and 9 times out of 10, the cause of death is not necessarily the Guillain-Barré syndrome. It's complications from being on a ventilator, like pneumonia. So there's no cure. But I did read an article on the Guillain-Barré Syndrome Foundation of Australia, and some of the treatments that they recommend are plasma exchanges, also called plasmapheresis. These treatments don't fix it, they just kind of slow the symptoms down and make them minimal, where a person can start to gain some mobility and some strength back, where they can work with physical therapists and speech, occupational therapists, and make a recovery. So in conclusion, Guillain-Barré is such a crazy rare disorder that I personally had never heard of until August 2015. August 2015, my husband woke up one morning after us being at ball games all weekend and was completely paralyzed from the waist down. We rushed him to the hospital. They did a bunch of tests. The doctors had no clue. They finally did a spinal tap. The doctor came in and said in his 25 years of medicine, he had only read about Guillain-Barré and that my husband was his first patient. He was immediately shipped to Oklahoma City, and within 36 hours, he was blessed enough to have his first plasma exchange treatment, which slowed down the paralysis because it was starting to get into his hands and arms. And eventually the doctors told us that it would go to his diaphragm. But we were, like I said, completely blessed. He had his first plasma exchange. It was in August, so he had not been sick. He had not had the flu shot. All the things that they kept saying were things that would cause it. We did 5 plasma exchanges, and honestly, after the first one, he was able to feed himself again. And after the third one, he could wiggle the toes on his right foot. And after about 15 days in ICU, when he was moved to a neuro floor, he was able to walk with assistance. So that's my little informative video regarding Guillain-Barre.